What is up, guys? No Farhan here, it's just me, Za, once again, and today I will be doing an ultimate review of the Suzuki GSX-S 150 ABS. And thank you to Suzuki Guan for lending me this bike to do the ultimate review. And I would like to show you the latest ride that I'm riding right now, the Suzuki GSX-S version. So yesterday, after I got this baby from the showroom, I just went around riding, trying to immerse myself in the riding experience. And so today I'm gonna give my feedback about this. So let's give it a start. You know, I love how the bike purse is really low bassy tone. When riding this bike, one could notice the exceptional weight of this bike. It's pretty light for its class. It's so much lighter than my Tourism. And if it's not for the box, my top box that I installed behind here, which I transfer from my Tourism to this bike would have been so much lighter. Oh, and if you buy this bike, they will give you a GV rack base plate for free. So one of the ritual that I like to do on a new bike that I ride is to bring it up to Mount Faber. Come, let's go. Okay, now we are going to challenge it to climb. And let's see if can it climb at gear 3? Wow, it does. It really can climb on gear 3. Gear 4? Okay, gear 4 a bit lagging, but gear 3 is just enough power to climb Mount Faber. And this has a very good mid-range torque, you know, from gear 3, 4 and 5. And one thing about this bike, it has a front and rear ABS. And considering that ABS is now a standard feature, safety feature in most of the modern day bikes, even on the GSX-R, it has front and rear ABS, unlike the earlier version that we interviewed, the girl Filza, who was riding the GSX-R 150. This latest version has ABS. Maneuvering Mount Faber on this bike is pretty easy. It's lightweight. You know, I would love to go down some more, but due to the semi-wet surface, because last night it was raining heavily, I wouldn't dare to do so. You know, because this is not my bike. If it's a scratch, you know, it definitely will have reduced its value. It belongs to Guan anyway. For a bike of its class, it is pretty torquey, you know, almost as torquey as the Yamaha MT-15. Its piston chamber is 62 compared to the Yamaha R15 and the MT-15, which has only a 57 bore. I'm sorry lah guys if I'm not as articulate as Farhan. I tried my best to give my honest feedback about this bike. This bike has a very slim profile, you know. In fact, I'm very comfortable with the grip. You know how at driving school they will tell us to grip the tank? This bike really allows you to grip the tank. It has a very cool, very narrow width and allows you to sit comfortably, grip the tank comfortably, as compared to some of the bikes that I rode before, the smaller bikes. The sitting position for this bike is not really upright. It reminds me of the KTM Duke 200, you know. It's upright, but the footrest is slightly to the back, so it gives you a pretty slightly forward stance. The GSX-R will have a sportier stance because it's a sports bike, whereas The S version is more of a street bike. It's a naked street bike. And splitting traffic is a breeze because it's small, it's nimble, and the gauge cluster is pretty simple, rather straightforward. It has a speedometer, tachometer, digital. This is all digital LED with a gear indicator, as well as a trip meter, trip A, trip B. The sweet spot for changing gear is at 5,000, 6,000 RPM. You know, if at third gear, moving slowly at third gear, even a slight twist of the accelerator gives it a good push. You know, one thing unique about this bike is that its engine has a double overhead cam. As compared to a single overhead cam, the double overhead cam gives a more torque on the mid-range to the top end. As compared to the single overhead cam, gives better torque at the low end of the range. Even at gear 5, it can give a good acceleration.
First launched in 2017, manufactured by Suzuki Indonesia, the Suzuki GSX-S 150 is an entry-level street fighter mainly targeted for the ASEAN market. It is based on the GSX-R 150 sports bike, sharing numerous components, including its chassis and engine. As with its R cousin, the GSX-S 150 strives to enhance its presence in the ASEAN region. As a street bike, the GSX-S strives to be a practical machine with a budget-friendly option for developing markets without compromising on style and performance. The engine is a 147cc liquid-cooled 4-stroke 4-valve TOHC twin-cam with fuel injection and a 6-speed manual transmission. Alright guys, so let's start off with the riding posture. Okay, so sitting on this bike right now, as you can see, it's very comfortable compared to the R model. I mean, it's a sports bike after all. This is more of a street bike. Okay, you're sitting upright, back straightened, handlebar, just nice for me. And as you can see, my legs bend quite a bit, but I think it's pretty comfortable, pretty ergonomical if you ask me. I think long distance, no issue. But I have to comment that the seat is kind of hard. And with ride height of 73.8 cm, like the R model, my feet is completely flat-footed on the ground. So I think vertically challenged riders wouldn't have any issues. The weight of this bike is actually 2 kg lighter than the R model, 133 kg. I think newbie riders who are trying to get used to their machines wouldn't have any issues. It's very right. And I think Zah commented that while at the traffic at the checkpoint, he has no issues with pushing the bike. Let's talk about the general design and outlook. So as you can see, obviously, it's supposed to be a street fighter, street bike, but it does carry over some elements from the R, particularly the headlight, the rear end, the seats, they're all carried over from the R. Sharp and angular, half-flaring design, really has a nice, sporty, but yet aggressive look to it. The front end itself, the front end cowling may look weird. If you ask me, I think this is due to the unconventional headlight design that the 150 series uses. But if you ask me, I think it gives it a nice and unique look to it. So up next, the riding control. So as you can see, it's basically the carried over from the R model. Okay, it's very similar. High beam, low beam, signal indicators, starter, and to the right over here, the engine kill switch, hazard indicators, starter, and of course, unlike the R model, it uses clip-on handlebars. This is the regular conventional white handlebars as seen on any standard motorcycle. And the LCD gauge cluster is also carried over, similar to the R model. Okay, press the select button and you can toggle between odometer, trip A fuel consumption, trip B fuel consumption, and back to the odometer. And basically it's the same format, same design. Also to mention, it uses a key instead of a transponder. Alright, so next we come to the riding tech, and as with the R model, the S also doesn't have too much riding tech. It's basically the same bike with its flarings cut off. It's just a back to basics bike with a conventional 4-stroke TOHC engine. ABS is standard, front and rear wheels. And once again, unlike the R model, however, it uses a conventional key. However, there's a trick that you can use to cover the keyhole. It's known as the shutter key lock. Using a nudge that's on this key is unique to the rest of the bikes. No two bikes are the same, and I think this is an added security feature to prevent people from putting random keys in the keyhole and starting the bike and moving off, I guess. Horn check for the GSX-S 150 ABS. Okay, sounds very much similar to the R model and it's pretty loud. Right guys, so let's talk about the colors. So it comes in 3 colors. Okay, so this particular color being reviewed by Zah is Titan Black and also Metallic Titan Blue lah. Let's talk price. So Suzuki Guan Singapore is the official distributor for the GSX-S 150 ABS. They've informed us that the price range is around 6,500 lah. However, the prices may vary from the different bike shops, so you need to go down to the bike shops and check them out for yourselves lah. So from the distributor themselves, they're providing 12 months or 12k mileage warranty. First servicing is complimentary after 1,000 kilometers. Subsequent servicing is every 4,000 kilometers. Suzuki Guan recommends that you do the servicing with them so as they can keep track of the maintenance history lah for warranty purposes.
So far, the stock suspension is pretty firm and it really absorbs shocks really well. Now we are riding at 6 gear. Going uphill it's pretty torquey bike. Now we are riding at North South Highway. I'm actually wanted to test out the top speed of this bike, but because this bike is running in and I don't want to, I just keep to the running in schedule. But usually, most of the mechanics will say 1,000 kilometers running in, but so far for me the effective running in distance will be somewhere around 300 to 500 kilometers. 1,000 is just to be safe, but on the average, if you give me 10 days on this bike, I've already run in to that 1,000. My commute to and fro Singapore, Malaysia, because I stay in JB, 100 kilometers a day. But the guys at Suzuki at Guan told me that this bike can actually top at 150 kilometers per hour. If at 90 kilometers per hour, this bike really feels very fast. Seriously, compared to the Yamaha X Max that I rode a week ago, 90 kilometers per hour on the Yamaha X Max feel very sluggish. I don't know why, whether it's a basket betul. From where I park my bike in Harbourfront to Kulai via the Tuas checkpoint will be about 83 kilometers. Just to let you guys know, the fuel gauge just dropped by 1 bar when I was at 173 kilometers distance. That shows a lot about its fuel consumption. Okay, according to the fuel consumption on the trip A, it says about 39.9 kilometers per liter, but on the average, according to the guys at Guan they say that the fuel consumption for this bike on the average is between 35 kilometers to 40 kilometers per liter. So this bike has a full tank of 11 liters. With that note, it will give you roughly about 350 kilometers on a full tank. Not bad, not bad for a bike of its class. 350 kilometers on paper lah. And the guys at Guan has been so kind enough, so generous enough for them to fill up the bike till the brim, right? And right now, I'm going to max out its fuel consumption until 1 bar. I forgot that this bike has 6 gears. I was riding on the 5th gear since just now, and now it feels more light. Just now it was like, I think it was straining, but so far even at that strain, it really performs well. Okay lah, I mean, because it's a street bike, so there's a lot of wind pushing against me. I think if there's a windshield, it would be very comfortable. But I have to say, the vibrations on this bike is very minimal, except for the seats. Talking about the seats is like divided into 2 separate sections. One for the rider, one for the pillion. And I feel that I like this kind of seating configuration because at least there's some sort of a butt rest for the rider, to push back a bit. Otherwise, it'd be like smashing the family jewels on the fuel tank in Singapore. This bike has already been launched about a month ago. Elsewhere in Southeast Asia, the bike has already been on sale for a while now. This bike is made in Indonesia. It is available around the Southeast Asia region, you know. Considering that this bike is available in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, I tell you, in a few months time, there's a lot of aftermarket parts for this bike. You can accessorize. There will be a lot of accessories available for this bike. For those riders who are into customization, fret not. There's a lot of accessories and aftermarket parts available for you. Speaking of which, the after sales service for this bike, right, the warranty is about 12 months or 12,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. 12,000 kilometers for me, I can complete in within 10 months. Considering the distance that I ride, within about 9 months, 10 months, I will have already completed 12,000 kilometers. The guys at the Guan advises owners of the Suzuki to always come back to the distributor for its maintenance, you know. They will actually keep a record all the works that has been done on the bike. Mechanics at Suzuki will also know whatever problems that surface during this warranty period. They can feedback it to Japan. This one gets interesting. Unlike most of the one-cylinder bike on the market, which, you know, roughly uses a 1 liter engine oil, this bike uses 1.3 liters to be specific. So far, I like the smoothness of this bike on the North-South Highway. I want to do a 60 to 60 test. 60 kilometers per hour to 60 miles per hour, which is about 100 kilometers per hour on a high gear, and I want to experience the acceleration. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this speed to 60 kilometers per hour. Six, 7, 98, 99, 100. Okay. From 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, it was pretty sluggish, but once the momentum has picked up 85 to 90 kilometer mark, you can actually feel the torque. But okay lah, that's what we want, what? Top end range of the torque. You know, compared to the Kawasaki Versys X300, the 60 was really good at from 60 to 60 kilometers per hour to 60 miles per hour. It was really, you know, the pickup was consistent. I realized my fuel gauge is already started to blink. As you can see, the trip meter shows at 350 kilometers. I believe I still have enough fuel to go another like 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers. Yeah.
Alright, Zah, you had the privilege of testing a new bike for once. Usually it's me who's doing this automotive reviews.
All this while, all these years, for 2.5 years.
2.5 years, yes.
For 2.5 years, all the bikes he has been reviewing. You know, I never had a chance to do so, you know. So now I thank you, Guan for letting me this opportunity to actually test out a new bike.
Yes, so finally, Alright, so Zah, 4 days with the bike, I understand that you've been commuting back and forth. You know, your usual thing that you've been doing with your tourism, but with this bike. So what do you think of his performance and handling?
In my opinion, what I felt that this bike has very good pickup, acceleration. You know, it's torque from gear 3, 4, 5. You can really feel the acceleration at that gear range. It's unbelievably easy. And I did a 60 to 60 test, which means from 60 kilometers to 60 miles per hour. At the 6th gear, I find that the pickup is very sluggish from 60 kilometers to 70 kilometers, but once the bike reaches 80, 85 kilometers to 100, wow, you can really feel the push, you know.
The low to mid-range torque around that, or above 60, it does good lah.
Yes, if you are cruising at 80 kilometers per hour and you need the pickup, you don't have to drop gear, you know. You can just twist the throttle and you can actually feel the bike pushes. At low speed, it is very stable. In fact, you don't really wobble too much at slow speed. Slow speed as in first gear, half clutch.
What about the handling wise?
This is something I realized, you know. If you are going to buy this bike, don't install an aluminum top box. Get the plastic. Guan is giving a free rack, free GV base. Okay, so get a GV box that's a plastic. Don't get an aluminum one because it really messes up with the bike's balancing and center of gravity. Especially if you want to corner, you can really feel that the bike being pushed away. You know, maneuvering this bike at tight situation, especially because I rode this every morning through the Johor checkpoint, Woodlands checkpoint. During that bottleneck where bikes are like bumper to bumper to each other, this bike really is easy to maneuver. You know, I can straddle on the bike with one leg and push it with one leg without so much effort. Compared to my tourism, which I will actually need a lot of effort, to push, you know, especially if this is like slope go up.
133 kg. I mean, the weight itself speaks.
Yeah, this bike is very light. The lightness of this bike is pretty nimble when you want to weave in and out of traffic.
This one I want to ask. Maybe I already spoke my opinions on the general design. What do you think of the design of the bike, the appearance?
At first glance, this bike reminds me of the Yamaha FZ150i.
Yeah, now you mention it, it does look like a FZ.
But except that the headlight is not rounded, but it's more sharp. It reminds me of, you know, Kawasaki Street Fighters. It really has that same kind of look, you know. One thing I like about the ergonomics of the bike is that it is very over here where you put your legs, you can really grip the tank properly, you know, and it feels thinner, slim.
How would you compare like with the most mainstream Street Fighter, like the MT-15, for example?
If compare in terms of engine design, the Yamaha piston is 57mm, whereas this bike, the piston is already at 62mm. So even without any riding technology compared to the Yamaha MT-15, which has a VVA, variable valve actuation. This bike has the same feel of torque as the Yamaha MT-15.
And not only that, it's also dual overhead cam, while the MT-15 is only single. So I think performance wise, also with the R, it's really good. Without any fancy valves or names, it's able to have the performance.
You managed to try any top speed?
I only whack until 132.
132?
Yeah. I don't dare to go further because it's not my bike. You also?
At 115, 120, I'm already so scared, you know. The speed is too scary because it's a smaller bike, and you can actually feel every vibration, every bumps on the road, you know, hitting you. And considering that this is a Street Fighter with an upright position, all the wind is hitting you very hard, you know.
Overall, what is your opinion on the GSX-S 150 ABS? It's such a mouthful name. They want to emphasize the ABS part.
I would get this bike as my daily commuter bike because it's fuel saving. On a full tank, this baby can go up to like 350, no problem. In fact, it has enough reserve to last you maybe like what, 380?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad
300 and...
He's scared lah. He's scared of us.
I don't mind using this as a daily commuter bike. If you want to do this for delivery, I would recommend this because it's fuel saving. The performance is okay. It's easy to maneuver, easy to handle. And except for that, maybe this part is a bit too small. You want to put your delivery bag.
Okay Lazar, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and opinions on the GSX-S 150 ABS. And once again, Guan, thank you so much. This is recently launched in Singapore, by the way. Yeah, so you can go to Guan of Singapore at Kaki Bukit and check this bike out. You know, ask the sales representative, look see, touch, sit on it, you know.
Their sales reps will definitely be able to explain to you more about the bike.
And for us, I think both of us, we had a positive experience with the GSX R model and S model, respectively. Yeah, that's it for the vlog, and we will see you guys in the next one.